Yeah, I think the first phase is always the spring football piece. When you get here and you get to a new place and you're trying to establish things, and then once that concludes, then you got to set out your goals for the remainder of the summer and into training camp. So I think I had an opportunity to meet with all of our players again after the spring game, individually, which is something I put a lot of stock in, and just to be able to continue to develop the guys individually. So that was a major goal, is once you get to know them and get the chance to see them on the field in spring ball, you get to evaluate where they're at, and then you set goals for them, in certain areas, and have their individual position coaches do that as well. And I focus more on mindset and daily habits. Really emphasize that over the summer, because that's the time when they really have the best opportunity to really develop those and build on those, because so much of it is away from the coaches more than it is during the springtime or in fall camp. So really want to see who kind of elevates themselves from a leadership perspective, but it's about really developing your body, developing your mind, mastering the system, being able to put yourself in a position to have, as I tell them, my goal is to be in the best shape of your life when you come into training camp, and then also have your best fall camp you've ever had. And so how do you do that? Well, you do it by having physically, mentally, spiritually getting yourself where you're supposed to be, and that's multi-layers. And to me, so that's the real focus was on that, and then it's just the constant accountability through that period, through our coaches, through our shrink staff, through myself, and it never ends. And so I think that's been the objective, and so we're just finishing that phase up right now. Got the rest of this week and then into next week, and we'll finish up the summer, and then they get a few days away, and then we're into fall camp.
The right move for you?
And my family, and that was I was pretty clear about that from the beginning, and that's just proven to be an amazing opportunity here, being so close to our two daughters and our son who's with us here. But family is really important to me. My faith's really important to me. The culture that Dabo has built here is was pretty well established and well known in regarding to the kind of environment you would be in here as a coach. And so those things just continue to be reinforced in the decision that we made. And obviously it was a part of a great place and working for a great head coach and great people. And I really appreciate that. And it was an awesome time. But for me, it was about my family, and it's proven to be an awesome thing to be able to get a lot of time together with them, way more than we ever would have had we lived in a different place. And those things matter to me.
Coach, to this point, is there an area in the defense you think is a strength, and an area that you think you would like to see some improvement by the time you get to kickoff?
Well, we got a lot of work to do. I know there's a lot of excitement, as there always is, to start a season, and it's a new year, and everybody has a lot of high expectations for themselves and for their teams, and we're no different. But we got to develop depth. We really I like the core guys that we have, but that's been a big challenge for us this whole summer, and challenge to the players. Want to be able to play a lot of guys. I want guys to feel like that. Every time they step on the field, they have a starter mentality, that it's not that I'm a 2 or 3 or 4. No, when I'm on the field, I'm the best player at this position. I'm representing that room when I take the field, and I want them to feel the pressure of that. And I think that's a powerful thing. And so that depth to me is what sticks out. We have to do a great job of being able to attack the quarterback. But the first thing you got to do before you get a chance to affect him on third downs is stop the run. So that's been a focus since I've been here. That involves run fits, that involves tackling. That we intentionally all summer long. Obviously the summer's different than it is when we're with them here. As we will be here in fall camp. But we definitely added some things to that over the summer for the guys to work on that during the summer, which I thought was very, very important to do. And so that's going to be at the forefront, is being a great tackling defense, an area that we have to improve, must improve, and you got to be able to get 11 guys in the football. So that's the effort piece. And that, to me, that's the one thing that I probably put the most emphasis on. Why? Because it's the one thing that every kid completely controls. Every player completely controls his effort. So those are the kind of things we want to be able to keep emphasizing as we get into camp, and that needs to be our strength. How hard we play, how physical we play, how fundamentally sound we are in everything that we do, and from tackling to gap fits to execution of what we do is really, really critical for me. So going to get some time as the schedule allows us to here as we get closer here to camp to be able to be more time with our players, and so we'll maximize that. But the bottom line is that it's about performance at this point. We got a great opportunity ahead of us here this season, but we got a lot of work to do between now and August 30th.
Coach, you coached one of the best players in the country last season after Carter. What are some of the things you see in T.J. Parker make you think that some of the same qualities?
Well, at the end of the day is can you get to the quarterback, and obviously TJ has shown the ability to do that in the past, and so that gets you a lot of excitement, obviously, and those guys had similar numbers, a year ago, and I think just he has a knack to be able to position himself. He's great use of his hands, great leverage on offensive blockers and tackles and whoever chooses to block him. I think that pops out to me. His relentless effort to get to the quarterback is another thing that sticks out on film. His work ethic, I just love how he works. Those are all key things that matter. I think his technique has continued to get better and better all the time. He's got a great coaching staff around him up front and a lot of NFL experience there to work with him and get him ready to play at the highest level. So I think T.J. Parker has worked extremely hard, needs to have a great training camp like they all do. And obviously it's like everybody else. It's about what you do on game day, and so he had a great, campaign a year ago, but he's got to be able to elevate his game and keep getting better. And that's what I expect him to do, just like, Abdul was able to have his best season of his career in his final year this past season, and that's what I expect TJ to do this year.
Coach, you talk a lot about effort. From the time that you got here, how long does that evaluation process take in terms of judging effort? Who does see the field more?
Yeah, I think it's never ending for me, so they're going to learn real fast here in fall camp that everything we established in spring ball, that wasn't just a spring ball thing. That's an everyday thing. And we will not be outlasted by our players in that regard. So we're going to be relentless in expecting that, everything that we do. So day one, day two, day three, it's going to feel just like it did when we started spring ball. So that's the expectation. But I will say, to answer your question, when does it show up? We were watching practice after, I think it was even during a scrimmage in the stadium, and there was a particular play where it was like, okay, this is starting to look the way it's supposed to look. And you just saw all 11 guys just put their foot in the ground and just fly into the ball. And, empty stadium, nobody's watching. All that matters is what's on the inside and how you've been trained to respond when the ball is on the perimeter or wherever the ball goes. And so, and we saw, and even Coach, Swinney noticed it and mentioned it and commented and pointed out to the whole team. And to me, that was just kind of, you saw, okay, these guys are starting to figure this out, and which is a pretty awesome thing.
Coach, it seemed like from the first press conference, you and Coach Swinney had such a great chemistry. In the first practice, you guys were getting together. How, in what ways or in what moments have you seen that chemistry grow, and what has that been like from the press conference until now working together?
I just think there's a lot of similarities. Even though, like I said before, we've never had spent a lot of time together. Weren't close friends by any means. Talked only a handful of times over the years and had met maybe once, in person. And so, but I just think, we read the same books. We have a lot of the same values. We have a similar philosophy on life, what's important to us, and he's a unbelievably positive person and believes to focus on things in that regard and makes that your emphasis instead of what we can't do or what things might be negative around you. We focus on the things that you can do and the things that could create the outcome that you're looking for. And so I just love being around guys like that, and so I think we have a lot of similarities, and we see things the same way. We value our family. Our faith's important to us. We're going to hold people accountable. I love, man, he's a bulldog now, and with his coaches and with our players, and it don't matter who you are, don't matter, and it's awesome to see. It's every day. It's in team meetings. It's in practice. It's before practice, during practice, after practice, and I love that about him. And like I said, I just think we have a lot of things in common, and it just excites me to be around a person that shares those same things and the things he says. And I'm always taking notes every time he talks to our guys and team meetings and staff meetings, and we have a similar mindset. We really do, and I think that's probably the biggest key, and I just think that it affects your relationships as well. And we kind of can, we're on the same page with a lot of things, and we want a lot of the same things, and we care about a lot of the same things. And so I think that's a special thing, and that's an awesome thing. And so I think it also is a reason, it kind of attracted me here, just to be able to be aligned with someone like that you believe in. And I believe I can sell Clemson. Even before I knew a lot about Clemson, I could just share my heart about how I feel you build relationships, how you build a team, how you build a special culture. And he and I have a similar alignment in all those things.
I remember watching Boulware out here in August camp, and he was about as intense as he is on game day. Have you seen that? What does he bring to the linebacker?
Oh yeah, he's another one. I mean, you use that word bulldog. Man, he's a relentless guy. Man, he's so passionate about football, life. Holding his players to a high level of accountability, the way he held himself, how hard he played, how well he prepared and studied, to be able to anticipate and bark out, things and call out plays and anticipate what the offense is going to do and just being demanding. I love the way he coaches his guys. I mean, he's tough on them now, but you can hold people to a high level of accountability and you can be really tough on them when they know you care about them, when they know you really genuinely love them more as a person, as a player. I believe in that. I think that's critical to relationship building, to coaching, to getting the most out of guys, and I see those qualities in him. I've said before, I recruited him when he was a high school player, and just loved the way he played the game, man. It stuck out to me, the way he finished plays, the way he tackled, how hard he played, the effort piece. I love that about him. I mean, he's not the biggest guy. He knows that. We joke about that quite a bit. But man, he wasn't the fastest guy. But man, he was extremely, extremely effective. He was a great leader. He was a great football player, and obviously led them here to national championships. So just being able to, have a guy in that room, the room that I think kind of drives all that. Those linebackers, to me, they set the tone for our whole defense, and he sets the tone for that in that room. And so having him in there is massive for us. It's huge for me. I know when I first talked to Coach about coming here, that was one of the things we talked about was Ben coaching linebackers. And so just feel like that it's a critical position for us. I'm obviously going to be in all those meetings as well, and because that's where my eyes go. That's the position I played. That's the position I coach, and that's where my heart is. But I also know that's the group that drives the defense. So he's the leader of that group, and he's doing a phenomenal job of holding them to the standard of Clemson defense.
Been here 6 months now. Similar position last year. How would you say these first 6 months have been different from your first 6 at Penn State?
Oh, I mean, I just think, coming into a defense that, was a little beat up, and rightly so. So, and it's just what it is. And whereas before I went to a defense that was, one of the best in the country, and so that creates different challenges. That creates different, how do you motivate? What do you do? What do you add? What do you change? What do you not change? And so, I came here and we changed everything. I mean, we changed everything, and so that was on purpose. And so, just wanted to get a completely fresh start in every way. And so, the way we called things, the way we did things, the way we practiced, the playbook, and everything. And so, I think that we got to have an edge about us. We got something to prove as a defense. And I've watched a ton of film. I'm a film guy, and film doesn't lie. And so you go through and you watch everything and you see what you have. And we got a lot of work to do between now and our first game, without question. But I love where we are, and I love the way the players have responded. I love the way they're working right now, but it's got to continue. But I think it does feel a lot different because you got to, we had a big opener a year ago. We got another big opener this year, which is awesome. But that's what makes it exciting. But at the same time, there's a lot to prove. That's probably the way to say it for me is this defense has a lot to prove on the field, and so it's really talking don't mean anything. You got to make plays on game day. You got to get those stops. You got to put yourself in position to win the game. So I just feel like that definitely a different situation that I walked into, but the exciting thing here is there's a standard that's been set here in the past, in the recent past of playing great defense, and that's where we expect to be this season, but we got to go prove that. We got to go do it, and it starts week one, and it never stops, and it's got to be consistent. And that consistency to me is a big part of what we've been emphasizing as a staff, and those daily habits and those practice habits and those film study habits, and those things are going to show up on game day habits, and that to me is what we're really working so hard to establish. And so that's been the focus since I got here, and it's not going to stop.
Yeah, Coach Allin, those changes you're talking about, is that more of you being proactive, going to Coach Swinney saying we need to do things different, or is it Coach Swinney coming to you and tasking you that we need to change?
Yeah, he, as the head coach, he mentioned some things that, that the film showed and the stats showed, and so he obviously had his expectations for wanting to do those, but it wasn't like he had to twist my arm to do them. There are things that I saw that I felt like needed to be done, and so I get that's probably back to the previous question about the alignment that he and I have and how we see things, but it's also just, good defense is good defense, and so there's certain things you have to be able to do to do that, and so I think the film kind of showed some of those things, and so we just had to, and I just wanted to create change. I knew we had to practice different. We had to, do things a different way consistently to get a different outcome on game day. So I think it was definitely collective, and even the coaches. And I wanted to hear from them. Obviously I walked into a room where I'm really the only new guy. And so obviously we added Ben, but other than that, it's the same staff as it was here before. And so those guys, I cared about what they said, what they saw, and what they felt needed to change. And because there's a lot of power and buy-in, from a group. And I'm not just a big, hey, this is what we're going to do because I say we're going to do it. No, I like guys to be able to feel a part of that. And so I, got their input on what they felt like needed to change. And obviously a coach is, as the head coach is going to give his, and together we're going to make those changes and make it work.